We also discussed the 5th and 6th grade mixer, which just took place last Friday, which was a great success. We discussed to set up procedure for future mixers because some of the ladies that initiated it, their children are past 6th grade, so the units are going to try to share that responsibility to keep it perpetuating with the assistance of Mr. Murray, which is great. The other thing we talked about, we invited Mr. Murray, and he also stepped in for Dr. Jardner because he couldn't be there. We discussed and brainstormed some of the middle school parking for drop-off and pickup. Mr. Murray put out an email just to kind of give procedures to parents again to try to help. He said he'd maybe do that a few times each year to assist. We kind of brainstormed with him on how to kind of help with that. Another topic that came up was the recess topic that you guys talked about with a parent. Dr. Chardner said that he would entertain some questions that the PTA unit presidents would come in for, and he's going to be putting out a questionnaire, a survey, which you haven't yet, soon, okay. One of the questions that Cherry Avenue came up with, because I posed it to the presidents to submit something, Cherry Avenue came up that they would like, in the survey, if the temperatures were increased, how many additional days would children be out inside? Dr. Stimmel had mentioned it would be 10 to 12, so they wanted that on the survey. And could we use this year as an example, if the temperature was raised to 25?
That is in
there, okay. So that was one that Cherry had submitted. We also talked about testing refusal procedures. We also spoke that the units want to meet in the summer together to coordinate some more year planning to get discounts on programs that they bring into the schools. They find that if maybe 2 of the buildings do something, it might be a little cheaper for them. And that's really it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda tonight is correspondence. We have a thank you letter from a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout actually. We have a letter from a community member, email letter. We have a Eastern Suffolk Grocery pamphlet, another email from a community member, and a email from a district clerk. Next item on the agenda tonight is Superintendent's report. Dr. Cron.
Thank you very much. We're going to start off with a very special program at our high school. And I'd like to introduce Mrs. Maria Brown and Mr. Rick Caske. I know you've seen Mrs. Brown before, but this year we've added the technology piece with Mr. Caske. And I think you'll be duly impressed.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Happy Earth Day. Green celebration of Earth Day. I'm Maria Brown, Mr. Rick Caske. I'm really excited to be here, so thank you for inviting me back. Gives me the opportunity to kind of pick up where I left off last spring, but not doing it by myself, with my partner in crime over here, who's been added to the program. So when we were talking about putting this presentation together, we're always reading about all of these ideas coming through with a common core. And every time I go through them, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, we do this, we do this, we do this. And we do this in RISE, and we're doing it in RISE Tech. So what I noticed is that a lot of the ideas that come through in Common Core, we actually take them in the RISE program and embellish them. It seems like we're almost doing beyond the Common Core. So that's where this title came from. So just some basics that I jot down every time I'm reading through some Common Core language. Some of the basic things that just come over repeatedly. In the English language, arts, and literacy, building content knowledge via informational text and primary sources. The students in the RISE and RISE Tech program, they come up with an idea or a question, but they have to research it, and they have to research it in a way that, it's not just going to the internet and looking something up. They're actually looking at scientific peer-reviewed literature. And so that's the primary sources. And if you've ever read just an abstract from a scientific piece of literature, it's not easy to get through. So the 9th graders, usually try not to scare them off. So we say, if you can just get through the abstract, you're good. But, you know, then they start to move through, and by the end of the year, they're actually able to make sense of a full 20-page, you know, publication, which is pretty interesting. They have to generate, the language there was generate original works using evidence, persuasion, multiple sources to argue a point with evidence and reach, and articulate their conclusions through writing and public speaking. And in anything that has to do with scientific research or engineering, the ultimate goal is to take whatever you've learned and share it with the community. And the only way that you can do that is if you know how to articulate effectively what you've done and how you've done it and what those results are. But to be able to articulate it to the particular audience that you're addressing. So if you're addressing a scientific community, you're going to use those fancy $5 words, you know, and if you're articulating your results to the general community, you have to be able to do that as well. So the students have to learn how to do that, and then they have to speak the language of the content area. And I said $5 words because most of those words that they're reading in the peer-reviewed literature, as high school students, if they're actually using those words, somebody should pay them $5 just for using them. So, you know, we definitely are doing all of this in this RISE program. And then I looked at math and using algebra and functions and modeling. We're actually using a lot of modeling. Geometry, statistics and probability. The kids actually are finding statistics and probability fun. So that's interesting because usually when I say, oh, you're going to learn statistics, so like they get a little nervous, but it's gone really well. And they're doing all of this to solve some sort of real world problem. And that's all through the scientific process or the engineering process. So through process and reasoning. Oops. So just basically the scientific method, they ask questions, they look through that peer-reviewed literature, they formulate hypotheses, they actually design their experimental design, conduct an experiment and collect their data. They'll do their statistical analyses and then they'll analyze and discuss their results. In the conclusions, they have to reject or fail to reject their null hypotheses. They have to identify the limitations in their future and identify their future work and then present those findings. So this was actually today. I've been running a marathon day. We were at a competition today. So that's Liam Haver. He's one of our seniors. And that's him presenting the results of his research. And again, then just the responsibility for all scientists to be able to share what they learn with the public. So RISE Tech, having Mr. Caske, RISE Tech just formed from those 12 students that I reported out to you last year that we were just kind of rubbing elbows, figuring out, it was everything that I learned from them. They taught me everything I know. And that's really the engineering methodology. So it's still research in science and engineering, but with technology. And that methodology is a little bit different than the scientific method. So they have to define a need, they have to do their background research, establish their design criteria, and then they have to prepare preliminary designs. They have to build and test prototypes, test and redesign as needed, and then present their results. And of course, these are two of my favorite comedians doing just that. So RISE Tech is like greater than or equal to the Common Core. And the reason I presented that is because some of the things that you're going to see right now, they have followed through that entire process, some of the projects that the students are working on. So the emergence of RISE Tech was really a couple of years ago in 2013 when I had 6 students. 4 of them were girls requesting tech-related projects, and if you remember me, I had I was pulling my hair out because they wanted to do application development and game design and all of this stuff that I said, don't really know it, but we'll figure it out. So we started just with Scratch, which was really a simple thing, but they took it to the next level. And then last year we had the 12 students that really took it a whole step further. So we had 12 students. Coming in this year, We were up to 22 students that came into the RISE program and had decided that they wanted to do this RISE Tech kind of track. And the applications that I just got, we have 18 new students coming in to RISE Tech. There's 42 students coming into the program, and I only have 4 students leaving from the RISE Tech piece, so this is really growing. And you'll see why. It's kind of taking off in the school, and everybody's walking around going, how come I didn't know we had a 3D printer? But they're all very excited. You see them kind of hanging around the window watching the 3D printer when something is printing, and the kids are pretty excited about it. So the RISE Tech goals are really to promote creativity and problem-solving skills. And it is an interconnectedness of all subjects. It's not just science. We have students that are developing applications related to language. They're developing applications related to history and the Great Pyramids and all kinds of really neat things. And it produces these out-of-the-box thinkers. But the most important thing is it allows them to take something that's their own and promotes an innovative and entrepreneurial approach. They learn from start to finish how they can develop these products, and then they actually build them and they test them, and then they present them to other people and they get a pretty good response. So we found this just recently from the Gallup Business Journal that says that the U.S. now ranks not first, second, or third, but 12th amongst nations that are in terms of business startup activity, and we're starting to fail in the entrepreneurship area. So it's really, really important that we promote students that are thinking this way, that are trained this way, and that actually want to pursue a career after high school in these areas. So at this point, I'm going to pass my torch over to Mr. Caske and just let him introduce to you some of the things that have been going on in the RISE Tech program this year.
The message from President Obama, don't just play on your phone, program it. I took that to heart because these students, children, and people of this new generation, for many years, the prior generations have been told, well, you gotta wait till college till you do that. You gotta wait till a certain time. No, the world is calling to them now. The world is asking them, hey, look, do you have any ideas? And we mean it. As of this point, students are going to start coming up with some ideas that may change the world later on, and the RISE Tech program is a very, very valuable thing that will allow them to do it. In our programs, we began with the 3D printer, and one of my students came in and says, well, Mr. Caske, I would like to design a plane that's more modern, but it was based off a design from World War II. Could we make this something that could possibly be an aircraft that someone could own personally? I said, well, what's the benefit of that over a single engine? Well, he says, well, you can get there 10 times faster. I was like, oh, okay, well, interesting. So then we took the design. I had him in my computer aided design class. He developed the design, sketched it, measured it, reverse engineered it from top to bottom. And his project right now is currently designing an aircraft that could be owned by an individual that will get them moving a lot faster than they could in a private jet or in a Cessna. In the applications, we discovered the MIT App Inventor this past year. It's been around for a while, but it has allowed an open channel to develop applications for the Android operating system phones. And it is some marvelous, marvelous stuff. And I have some things to share with you in the next few slides. But aside from the MIT App Inventor, we began in Scratch. And Scratch is a great program because it's free, and it also allows them computational thinking to start out. And the earlier you start doing that, the better it is. When they have the ability to do it at an early age, much like when you have to learn when someone says, well, if at a young age they try to learn a foreign language, they probably will be able to adapt to both languages. That's the best way to go, because they're going to be starting off early with this, and they'll have a knowledge. The other programs we've been running is Greenfoot, which is an introductory program to Java, and that is sponsored by Oracle. And outside of that, we are also looking into other applications as well that will help them to learn. Oh, and by the way, the benefit, free. Scratch, free. Greenfoot, free. App Inventor, free. And as I said to you before, the world is calling to them. The world is saying, well, what are your ideas? And they can do it. They can do it at home. There are no limitations. They don't need to be in a lab. They can do it from the comfort of their own PC. If their friend has an Android phone, they can develop that app. Now, we're going to go to 3D printing real quick. This is a great photo here. This is what I call, for me it was Christmas morning, because there we are saying, opening up the box, and the opportunities were endless. You can see it by the smile on my face there. So, but what we did was the research. We began saying to the students, what do you want to do? And as time went on and working with the printer, we found better methods of making the printer work more efficiently for us. We, in that picture over there that makes it look like a TV dinner, it's covered in tin foil on the sides and the heat, and it allowed us to make a better quality print. The bottom right, yesterday we were at the conference at NYIT. Our students are in the middle right now of developing a prosthetic hand that can be a lot more mobile than the current design. Now, what they did was they went online, and once again, the world is calling to them. There's a website called Thingiverse. You could download a number of different things from there. And why do they want you to download them, and why aren't they charging you? Because they want you to take, play with it, work with it, and make it your own. And that's exactly what these students in Rise Tech have done. They've downloaded 2 hands, done research, and right now they went to the next step. They took a hand from the art department, and with in the bottom right corner right there, that is a MakerBot digitizer. It scanned the hand in, and now in a CAD program called Tinkercad, which is free, okay, they can now make modifications to the hand, and if they wanted to, after they're done with the modifications, they could print that out in the MakerBot once they transfer that over to an STL file. Now, one thing I do want to show you is as we've been going along here, I have said to my students, okay, any project that you do, anything that you work on, my webpage is going to be the available resource for you for whatever it is that you need. Most of the projects that we work on there will have some results from the class right here. So here's our logo, designed by Michael Everlino. Rise Tech, do you speak our language? Basic HTML right there. Anything that the students are doing, any projects, I made a link to set up for them so that they can go there and grab resources. For coding, game design, this is the message from President Obama. This right here is the United States granting scholarships to students for playing video games. Yes, they are granting scholarships and visas. Pretty amazing. But as you go along here, the resources are open. Every time I get a chance to update my site, I'm doing it on a weekly basis to provide as many resources for the students as much as possible. Any progress that we have for the 3D printing and design, I want to share this for you real quick. This was the the Raptor hand, and the parts were printed on our 3D printer. This was our research piece. We took this apart, we took a look at it, and we assembled it using some basic parts. This is Emily Snedden. Pardon the sound, I'm sorry. And what they're doing is they're going to take from that design, which was free, able to be downloaded from Thingiverse, and they're going to make their own. And their goal is to make a hand that is interchangeable, make a hand that is more aesthetically pleasing, and make a hand that could even be better than the human hand itself. Aside from that, we also have a number of different areas. Anytime a student needs to schedule with me, they can go to my website, and the biggest help was having the students go to the Google Classroom to communicate with each other. So anytime that they need to not get resources, but communicate with each other or communicate with me, they're just going to go onto the Google Classroom and add a new stream. It has been a win-win with this program, absolutely. And I'm constantly getting updates, which I absolutely love. So let me just go back. These are some of the projects that we're currently working on. I have two students rather, who are working on creating a heart valve stent. And a heart valve and a stent, but their goal is to incorporate nanotechnology within the stent. And yes, it's something of the imagination, but as we've learned, things of the imagination, like walking around with the ability to watch TV in your pocket, come on, the time has flown by and these things are moving rapidly. their ideas can come to life later on, especially if they start at the high school level to do this. This was Nick Cowan's design. Right now, we're pushing to get his home design put out to the 3D printer so we could have a model to work with. This was back to the 3D printing. We're inspired by what's happening around us too. The hand was actually an inspiration from something that took place in South Sudan called the Daniel Project, where a man named Mick Everling, part of Not Impossible Labs, went to South Sudan, found these poor people who had their limbs taken off by bombs in the war-torn country, and decided he wanted to provide them with it. This was inspiration to our students to do the same thing and to learn how they can make it better. And these are the two students that went to, two of the three students that went to NYIT yesterday. And the future is going to get us onto this area right here, incorporating the Arduino and Raspberry Pi, which has two really great abilities. The Arduino is a microcontroller, as is the Raspberry Pi, but they will be writing the language for it, and they will be able to program it. The goal is to take that hand, interact with the nerves, open, close, and work on the dexterity to all come together. The pre-app development, we worked with the Noise Ivy workshops. Through help with Friends of Sayville, we were able to have people come in, speak, and present to the students how to work out of Python, Scratch, and HTML. As time went on, we had more and more students gain interest, and there is a need. There has been a push to get coding into the schools because it's important to know how to work with the languages. It's a foreign language to many, but believe it or not, it's a language that's running many things as we speak right now, down from this computer to that television up there, with the programming built into it. So knowing the language can really be valuable, not just so you know how to do it, but also in the career field post-graduation. This is the application. We've been going through learning some coding through Code Academy, which is open, free, open source, so anybody can go on. We've done the Hour of Code through Noise Ivy, which was great, with the Python workshop, and for fun. And this is a really great thing, by the way. The bottom here is something called Code Combat, and at first glance it would look like a video game, but it's not. It has the users go on, and it challenges them to move a Viking through a tunnel by using different types of coding languages. It's amazing. It's really great. And I tested out on some of my students who would go online, and if they'd be bored during a study hall, I said, go on to Code Combat right now, give it a try. And they get hooked because they're learning the language. It's, once again, it's a win-win. This is the App Inventor, and the App Inventor is a really, really great thing. Let me see if I can get this link up and going here. This was Alexa Truglio, and this is her app. She is designing an app for runes. I'm not sure if we have set.
Alex Truglio, she's developing an app for the Rise Tech class in the MIT App Inventor on runes. Runes is a Scandinavian alphabet, and she's going to demonstrate the navigation using the MIT App Inventor in her own Android device. Go ahead.
So this is her Android device.
And with the block editor interacts with the graphics. And if we want to define a rune, all you have to do is scroll. And she's going to define the first one on the top left there. And when she presses the button, the navigation opens up. And you go to the screen. And this is compatible with any Android device. And when finished, we package it up and download it as an app on any Android device.
So these are the current projects that the students are working on. They want to come up with different ideas. Speaking of a different idea, this one's rather interesting. This is Michael Ervolino. He wants to answer the age-old question of where is my kid's classroom? Because on open school night, the parents get to the high school and they go, okay, where do I gotta go now? Where do I gotta go now? He is currently developing an application where you can hit a button, tap the room number, and it will, just like Google Maps or your GPS, navigate you to where you gotta go to get to that classroom.
Wow.
The research that he's been doing, he's been going around with a GPS, going from he's currently working on only the second floor right now in the math department, and also at the end of that hallway as well, getting some coordinates to the GPS. With a clipboard, he's been writing down the coordinates, And his first step is taking some of the apps that were offered through MIT App Inventor. There's a Where's My Car app, which is pretty cool, where if you ever lose your car, you just mark the position before you go, and when you go inside, you can find it. He's going to take that app, switch it around, and make it so that when you hit a button, it will navigate you back. And the best part is they also include a map on there too, just in case you don't want to use the app or the technology is just too much. So we got the old-fashioned way and the more modern way. But the next one to follow that will be the Find My Locker app for the freshmen. Hopefully we can
Clean my locker app.
Clean My Locker app. That's even better. That's even better. I like that. I like that. Yeah. But that is the plan. And these are their ideas. And these are individual ideas that I think can grow into something great, because the beauty was when I was in high school and I was taking technology classes, you had something great to take with you that you can grow from. You learned a skill. You got this great knowledge and you moved from there, and it just kept building. And that is the benefit of this, is it's nonstop. So on top of it, we ran some in-house workshops as well for the MIT App Inventor. We ran a workshop for Tinkercad. That was the free program I was telling you about. Amazing program, by the way. It's actually sponsored by Autodesk. And we did introduction to 3D printing with the MakerBot and walked the students through how to do that. The competitions, we were just at Connect to Tech, which was at NYIT, the National Science Foundation Competition in Mathematics and Science. These were the students that went to NYIT just yesterday: Emily Snedden, Nicole Faris, CJ Hitchborn. And their goal is to make the prosthetic hand interchangeable. And these are the other students that were working on the stent: Christine Guinnessy and Sierra Greygor, to make the heart valve with the nanobots. The ideas are amazing. So where does the future lie for Rise Tech in 2015 and 16? We want to introduce those microcontrollers. We want to get it so that we can have the boards interacting. And we want to get it so that we can start motorizing things. The future for the applications, currently we're only working in Android. We want to go in the direction of Apple. We want to go in the direction of learning the programming languages of Xcode and Swift. And we want to work with mostly microcontrollers, and we're in the midst of developing the quadcopter as we speak. So that is the plan. Oh, by the way, top right, that was a little boy down in Florida who, a couple students from UCF, as part of their senior project, developed an arm for him that was an interactive circuit. Amazing, amazing stuff. So, now for something completely different. Everybody, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that.
Mr. Caske failed to say was that yesterday's team, we had one team that we entered in. This was a new competition because we've never had a team that was eligible for New York Institute of Technology. You have to have at least one female on the team. There can't be any seniors. And they actually won the entrepreneurship award yesterday for their prosthetic hand. And if you know Emily Snedden, she was great. There were like 8 judges, and the one judge comes up to her and says, "Well, how did you do your prototype testing if you didn't have an amputee?" And she turns around and she goes, "Come here, I'm going to put it on you. Here, do some tasks." And she strapped the hand right on him, gave him tasks, and he was doing it, and he had a lot of fun. So it was a really successful day. They were very excited. So it was a good day for them. So last year also, when we were talking about the introduction of geospatial science, that was another change that came around to the high school. We do now have the program where I can teach the students the same course that's taught at Stony Brook University through the Stony Brook University ACE program. Upon the completion of the course, they will get 4 credits from Stony Brook. And Mrs. Kazmarek works with me. She works with the 9th and 10th graders, and I work with the 11th and 12th graders. And the 2 Intel semifinalists that we had this year actually came out of this new program. So Nicholas Cowan, who did all of the modeling, the geospatial modeling for where the coyotes are going to be when they get here, and they are coming. They're hanging out in Chelsea, New York, and I'm sure you've seen the headlines, but they're on their way here. Actually, I think they are already here. And most likely, so all this area in red, these are the areas that have the prime habitat for them. And Nick has actually presented with multiple groups. He was at the Long Island Natural History Conference. He presented to all of these professionals at Brookhaven National Laboratory a few weeks ago. And he has now been included in the expert coyote group. So they email him and they keep him included, and they, Dr. Mark Weckel from the American Museum of Natural History is going to be taking his maps, comparing them with Nick's maps in August for a publication that they'll be doing. So that's pretty neat. And Emily Fawnin did, she actually found through geospatial mapping where the most likely abduction would occur of a child based on things that are on the national website. And a really important way to know how to protect children, she looked at all of the characteristics. She was looking at hair color, age, what their race was, where they were abducted from, and she came up with a profile that was a white girl between the ages of 11 and 12 in the summer months in an urban area that had brown hair and brown eyes. So she looked at all of these characteristics because the national website has all of this information available. And she took second place at Long Island Science and Engineering Fair, and she just received an invitation to publish her information. So she'll be doing a publication as well. So that's pretty exciting. I would like to say we've had extensive support from Eric Lang. If you don't know him, he's at the high school now, and oh my gosh, he's really helped just progress everything that we needed to do. So that's actually our students dancing because they get very excited. Also, I mean, Friends of Sayville Education Foundation, I know Rick had mentioned it, but without the support from Friends of Sayville Education Foundation, there were certain parts of language teaching that we could not have done without them coming in first and kind of giving us the guidelines, and now we're able to take the kids forward. And I say we, it's really not me, it's he. I learned from them. So just to wrap up, RISE and RISE Tech really are beyond the Common Core. The students are engaged in the technical reading and writing on these self-driven research projects. They result in hands-on engineering designs and development of products and applications to really solve real-world problems. And those are the kinds of thinkers that, these kids are just so, I can't keep up with them. They keep us on our toes, and it makes teaching lots of fun, and it makes school a lot of fun. So I just went back over and I said, yep, these are the things that we're doing. But last Friday, I don't know if you saw in Newsday, this was in the business section, survey where workers with tech-savvy skills are hard to find. And this article was written just for this region. So just in the metropolitan region, Long Island region, they cannot find anybody to hire in business and industry that have the skills necessary to do what needs to be done. And that's going to hurt us economically on Long Island and in the metropolitan area unless we're able to produce some homegrown kids that can do this. So pretty exciting time if you're a student at Sayville. So of course I always have a dream, and my dream would, the things that I see these kids doing would be, not that every kid would be in RISE or RISE Tech, but that they would actually get that experience somewhere along the way in their educational process, somewhere K through 12, where they would be able to take a class, if it's half a year class or a full year class, and let it just be project based, and let them be creative, and let them come up with the things that they're passionate about and produce something. Because when they produce it, they meet all these challenges along the way, but when they've overcome those challenges and make that product, they've learned so much, and it's amazing to experience that. So before I say thank you, I would just like to extend an invitation to our Sayville Science Symposium. It's always a celebration of science and music, and that's on Saturday, June 6th from 5 to 6:30. In cafeteria A and B for that first hour, so we have a lot of the elementary school students come with their projects. We have the middle school students coming, doing, showing some of the things that they've done with Ms. Lutz and Ms. Toth, and some of the seed students come. We have usually around 100 projects that are displayed, and there's hundreds of parents that are there. It's a really, really fun evening. So if you want to come see what all of the students are doing in the district, come down to the high school. At 6 o'clock, we cord the seniors who will be leaving the RISE program. They wear those cords at graduation. And then we have quick presentations, one from the elementary, one from the middle school, and one from the high school. And they'll do a quick presentation of a wrap-up of a summary of their research. I don't know who our elementary school student is, but Avery Rosado will be presenting, and he took first place at the Broadcom Masters at Long Island Science and Engineering Fair. He's one of Danielle Lutz's students, and then Nicholas Cowan will be presenting his coyote research, so you can find out if they're going to be in your backyard. And really, I mean, he's just had a great year. He was, semifinalist. He took first place in New York Science and Engineering Fair. He's an American Museum of Natural History semifinalist. There were 30 semifinalists in the country, and he was one of them. He's an iSuite finalist. He and I are leaving for Texas on May 7th, so we'll be there from the 7th to the 11th. And you definitely come out and see it. And then right afterwards, if you have your lawn chair, you can listen to the awesome music from the high school band. So come see that. And that's it. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Were there any questions with Maria or Rick?
I'd just like to commend you both. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I think families and parents, you're giving families options with the prohibitive cost of college. Now students have the option to create right out of high school, or obviously the scholarship opportunities based on the amazing things they're doing. So it's just it blew my mind.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Excellent job. Good job.
Thanks.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna steal my Logitech piece here. Thank you again.
Good job.
Come down.
Yeah, I know the board sees a lot of the students because they're forever winning awards, and I'm sure you'll continue to see your students.
Oh, yes. Thank you. They're amazing.
The next item on my agenda is board candidates. The three incumbents, Carl Cangelosi, Keith Kolar, and John Verdone, are running. Mrs. Deborah Burns is running against Carl Cangelosi for a seat that is up on May 19th. So the winner of that seat will take that seat on May 20th. Okay, it's not because it was a seat that was, the board placed the person in. It wasn't a voted seat. Then you have Teal Rizzo running against Keith Kolar, and that seat will be up on June 30th. Is Mrs. Burns in the audience?
No.
Mrs. Rizzo is.
Yes, I'm here.
You can introduce yourself as
Oh, I'm not prepared for that, really.
Mrs. Rizzo.
Hello, everybody. I think I've been around to most of the meetings. I know most people looking around in here. Holly, hello. I've been here almost every meeting since last year, and I have researched finances, education, and followed them extensively. I think that they'll let you know they sometimes loved it, sometimes hated it, but I'm really interested to work with them, every single one of them actually, no matter what's gone on the past year. And I'd like to actually meet everybody here. My children have been in the district since 1995, so I have seen a lot. I've met a lot of teachers. Many have retired. My daughter's in 10th grade. And I wasn't prepared for this, but anybody who would like to contact me, please feel free. The district has my number, and I've given everything to Mary, so. And I'll be here at the next meeting, so come on over and say hello afterwards. Thank you.
And lastly, Board President John Verdone is running unopposed.
I've been here 12 years. And thank you for your support, community members. Thank you.
Upcoming dates, important dates. May 7th, 7 p.m. is our audit committee meeting right here. It will then be followed by executive session. May 7th at 8 p.m. will be our May business meeting, Board of Education meeting. May 12th, from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. is evening voter registration here at the administration building. The district clerk will be holding court for voter registration. May 12th is the last request day for absentee ballots, again through the district clerk. May 14th is the last day to register to vote. Closes at 3 p.m. in the administration building, May 14th. May 18th is the last day to request an absentee ballot. Okay, 12th was to request it by mail, and the 18th is to, I guess, request it
If they were coming, yeah.
in the office. And May 19th is the budget vote from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. across the way in the old junior high school gymnasium. That ends my report.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda tonight is Board of Education discussion. I don't think anybody have any board members have any discussion items? Mr. Devenow.
Being president of the Islip Town School Board Association, John Verdone is one of our board members also. And we're having our last meeting at the Suffolk Transportation. And they're going to be giving us a very, very important meeting because it's the last one of the year. And they're going to be covering the hybrid bus, the Edulog smart routing and software, and school source technologies in student tracking. Suffolk Trans is the best bus company out here on Long Island, and they are working on the hybrid bus, which they will be looking into building themselves. And so this is a very important meeting, so any board members or administrators who would like to come down, we would appreciate it because it's, they always give a great presentation. And the two gentlemen that are in charge of the company, they are very knowledgeable in education. So, you know, we get a good education ourselves down there. So we'd like to see everybody possible come out to this last meeting.
This is as far as Suffolk Transportation and the hybrid bus.
Yeah.
You want to see an amazing bus that they're developing and how they're running it, not only with batteries, but the capacitor type load with the motor. And I know it gets technical, but it's their organization, how they run their organization, how the health and safety that they do, just for their drivers. One of the principals actually interviews every single driver before they get hired. And they probably have one of the best safety records that I know about compared to some of the other bus companies. So it's a fantastic operation. They're diligent with their drivers, and it really is a good operation. So board members and administrators, you've got to get down there. It's really, really fantastic organization. And I also want to add, tomorrow night, Thursday night, at the high school, if no one has seen that jazz concert at the high school, skip up Dancing with the Stars and the Boys and anything else, go to the high school and see this jazz concert, because you'll see some professionals, our students playing with professionals. They start in the morning, they play all day, and by the end of the night, you get goosebumps. It saves going to the city of Manhattan. You got to go and see this show, and I see it every year, and every year they get goosebumps. So if you can find the time tomorrow night, come on down. It's a great show. That's what we have. Debbie, go on. Next item on the agenda tonight is we're going to open the public session. Could I just see a show of hands who's going to speak tonight? See how much time we're going to have. We're going to set aside, let's say, 15 minutes, and try to keep your comments to within 3 to 5 minutes, please. And direct it to the board chair, please. Mrs. Rizzo?
I just have a question about the efficiency committee. I don't know if we're having one next year, but might I suggest that instead of just looking at the instructional budget, we look at the whole budget? Because I think this past year, that's what we should have done, because nobody wants to cut our instructional budget. And I think we really didn't do any good. And last meeting, you asked if we could lower the tax cap, I think it's what, 1.5? And Mr. Belmonte said we need an additional $150,000. And I have a feeling we would have found that. And we can't know, and I can't know personally, unless we did that. So are we having an efficiency committee next year, or is it just the one?
We,
Go ahead, Mr. Schreiber.
we haven't decided.
Well, other districts have them, or a budget advisory committee.
Mhm.
It would be nice if we could do that and have the public involved. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Ms. Rule?
Yeah.
Welcome, sorry.
Lisa Walker, I just have a quick question. What is the curriculum that our district follows for science and history at the elementary level?
Mr. Stimmel?
We follow the state guidelines. I don't know if you're aware, the state has been considering adopting new guidelines, so it's kind of put us on hold in terms of moving forward. But our social studies and science curriculum have been in place for a number of years now. We're due for an update. The social studies frameworks have just come out. The science frameworks are probably another year out, so.
Also,
Do you have a specific question about the
No, I just
curriculum?
want to know in general what the curriculum was. I feel like it's kind of gone to the wayside with all the concentration on the
No,
ELA.
I mean, there's a lot of attention given to ELA and math, but the fact of the matter is, we've been actively discussing social studies and science this year. I don't know if you're aware, we did have a curriculum committee. Unfortunately, due to the budget cuts, that was eliminated this year. The good news is that will be coming back if the budget passes. So I'm excited about that because I'll be able to start focusing, working. This year we spent a lot of time just trying to reconfigure how we communicated back and forth with the elementary teachers. But so there's some good things coming. But no, we've been talking about social studies and science all year.
Because, and then if you're a year out from the science, in addition, it would be a wonderful thing if you can incorporate some of what the presentation was down to the elementary level. That would be really wonderful to expose them prior to getting up there.
We're actually, we've just acquired a new program called Jason, and Dr. LeBlanc has been instrumental in working with the fifth grade teachers around the district, and if that meets with success, you might be seeing more of that. That's interactive, it involves technology, and
Yeah,
it
a little
involves a lot
input.
of the higher end stuff that Mrs. Brown is doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Any other community members? Yes.
Hi. Just want to say thank you for the locker room that was just open recently. Today it was raining at the girls' lacrosse game. And it was really awesome to go in there and just see the bathroom. The tailgate party was inside in that nice big room that you have. The other team and our team was really happy to see it. Just want to say thank you for the new facility.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, Laura Kennedy. I just want to reiterate Mrs. Fitzpatrick. I know I was here probably a year ago as one of the parents really advocating for that new facility. So it was real important for me to see that our voices were heard and that our girls have a very nice facility to change in, to store their backpacks in. So thank you for all the administrators who made that happen. The other question I have is, it's been a long time in our district that we've had board members have other members of the community against them for an election. Many elections have been, you know, we're going and we're just checking off a name. People have run unopposed for many years. So I didn't know if there was any thought put into having like a meet the candidate night where community members can be invited
Yeah.
and really get to meet. So I think it's very nice that we have some people here and they're telling us to call them. But I'm thinking more about a public forum where if
I can
other
answer that
community
question.
members would like to come, questions can be asked. And I was just wondering if that's going to be considered for this year?
I can answer the question.
Okay.
PTA Council is normally the organization that organizes that.
Okay.
Mrs. Yonkers is here, and I don't.
Yep, I'm looking at the dates, and I'm gonna coordinate with Dr. Shortner for the building to do it. I'm more likely thinking the old junior high, so probably a week out before the election. But if you have any questions, you can get my
Are we
email.
gonna send out a Connect Ed? Is that gonna come home in the mail?
I don't even know what a Connect Ed,
Oh, I'm
I would
sorry,
do a
that's like
portal.
our automated, I call it
Would
Connect Ed.
you
but-
notify Mary, would you notify Mary when it is?
We would have to do it district-wide.
phone?
We can't just do it for parents
No.
of school kids.
No, I think it would be great
Connect
for
Ed doesn't
any
go out
community member, so,
district-wide.
oh, that's right, because the phone is only connected to
So it would
your
have to be a mail.
management. Okay, so you're thinking within the next, it's just important to get
She
that
has a lot of
date out, because,
questions about
you know, it's a busy time of year, and I think there's a lot of community members who'd like to meet some of our new candidates and have the opportunity to ask them questions.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions, you can contact, Mary has my information if you want any other.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, community members? saw
Actually, I do.
Lucy.
What is Connect Ed? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's
the
what
phone
I
message
use.
system.
Oh, that you do? It's not, it has nothing to do with the portal, it's when,
No, that's the
Okay.
phone message.
I didn't know it was called
That-
Connect
That's
Ed.
when I'm waking up at 5 o'clock.
That's the first time we get on the snowy day. It's,
Listen, don't do anymore, because that means snow's coming.
No, I think we're pretty much out of the snow.
I didn't
We
know.
hope, listen, it did snow in April, I remember, it snowed in April, long time ago. Any other community members? Okay, being that there's no more community members' question, we're just gonna run right through the agenda if the board is okay. Need a motion for 7-1 to 7-3, approval of minutes from March 12th, March 25th, and April 15th. Angelosi, second. Mr. Devenow, discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Need to recommend, I'm going to call 8-1 out of order because I have to, it's a roll call vote, right?
Yep.
I'm going to call 8-1. And I have to read it, so be patient with me. Because normally it's written, no, it's written, but normally it's on paper. Okay, thank you. Be resolved that the Board of Education hereby adopts the proposed budget for the 2015-2016 school year in a total amount of $89,405,405.25, sorry, for presentation to the public at public hearing on Tuesday, May 12th at 7:30 p.m. at the Sayville Administration Building for submission to qualified voters of Sayville Union Free School District for approval on Tuesday, May 19th, 2015, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. prevailing time at the Old Junior High School, Suffolk Community College Center, and to be further resolved that the Board of Education hereby adopts and approves the school district property tax report cards appended to the adopted proposed budget and directs the district clerk to transmit said school district property tax report card to local newspapers of general circulation and to submit said school district property tax report card to the State Education Department by the end of the next business day, and it further resolved that the Board of Education directs the district clerk to include aforesaid total amount of school budget notice that will be mailed to qualified voters in the Sayville Union Free School District after the date of the budget hearing, but no later than 6 days prior to the annual budget meeting, budget vote, and election. Roll call vote is required. We'll start with Mr. Dolan. Mr. Devenow. Mr. Podesta. Mr. Cangelosi. Yes. And I vote yes as well. Okay, we have a budget. 8-2 through 8-14. Need a motion, please?
Motion. Second.
8-16, I'm sorry. Well, you have the same. We're gonna call 8. I'm sorry, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna go 8-2 through 8-16. Need a motion? Mr. Devenow, Mr. Dolan. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to call 817. Angelotti? Stone? Discussion? All those in favor? Abstain? Motion carried. 9-1, new business, to 9-5. I need a motion. Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. New business other. I need a motion for 10-1 to 10-5, please. Well, actually, we have to do 10-5 separately. 10-1 to 10-4, please. Second. Discussion?
Who made that motion, I'm sorry?
Maureen.
Okay. And second was Paul.
Discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. 10-5, this is for BOCES candidates, we have to pick 5 of the 5. Well, you don't have to pick 5 for the 5, but there are 5 candidates and 5 seats, and I know all the candidates. Okay, we're going to vote for all 5? Okay. Okay, we vote, and we motion and vote,
And who made the motion?
Norm and, okay, all 5 candidates are voted for. Motion carried.
And those candidates are on your agenda.
Stephen Dewey, Stephen Gasser, Theodore, I don't know his last name.
Imbasciani.
Joseph Sarabio, and Jeffrey Smith. Wow. Need a motion to adjourn. Second? Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.